changed. Like a heat wave vented from a sauna, emotion swept over him. A terrible wave of empathy laced with a bitterness he couldn't understand. But he understood that he cared for the woman behind these blue eyes very much. And then, as quickly as the feeling had come, it fell away. "Carl!" Her face twisted with anguish. Fresh tears flooded her eyes and ran down her left cheek. "Kelly?" She began to speak in a frantic whisper. "We have to get out of here. They're going to kill us." Her eyes darted toward the door. "We have to do something before he comes back. He's going to kill—" Her voice choked on tears. Carl's mind refused to clear. He knew who she was, who he was, why he cared for her, but he couldn't readily access that knowledge. Worse, he didn't seem capable of emotion, not for more than a few seconds. Who are you?" She blinked, as if she wasn't sure she'd heard him right. "What did they do to you?" He didn't know. They'd hurt him. He knew that. Who were they? Who was she? She spoke urgently through her tears. "I'm your wife. We were on vacation at port in Istanbul when they took us 3 days ago. I think they took Matthew. Don't tell me you can't remember." Details that he'd rehearsed in his mind before waking flooded him. He was with the Army, Special Forces. His family had been taken by force from a market in Istanbul. Matthew was their son. Kelly was his wife. Panicked, Carl jerked hard against the restraints. He was rewarded with a squealing metal bed frame. No more. Another mistake. Whoever had the resources to kidnap them undoubtedly had the foresight to use the right restraints. He was reacting impulsively rather than with calculation. Carl closed his eyes and calmed himself. "Focus. You have to focus. They brought you here unconscious half an hour ago and gave you a shot." Her words came out in a rush. I'm pretty sure they want you to kill someone." Her fingers touched the palm of his hand above their heads, clasped his wrist. "I'm afraid, Carl. I'm so afraid." Crying again. "Please, Kelly, slow down." "Slow down? I've been tied to this bed for 3 days. I thought you were dead. They took our son." The room faded and then came back into focus. They stared at each other for a few silent seconds. There was something strange about her eyes. He was remembering scant details of their kidnapping, even fewer details of their life together. But her eyes were a window into a world that felt familiar and right. They had Matthew. Rage began to swell, but he cut it off and was surprised to feel it wane. His training was kicking in. He'd been trained not to let feelings cloud his judgment, so then his not feeling was a good thing. "I need you to tell me what you know." "I've told you, we were on a cruise." "No. Everything. Who we are, how we were taken, what's happened since we arrived. Everything." "What did they do to you?" "I'm okay. I just can't remember." "You're bleeding." She stared at the base of his head. "Your hair." He felt no pain, no wetness from blood. He lifted his head and twisted it for a look at the mattress under his hair. A fist-sized red blotch stained the cover. The pain came then, a deep throbbing ache at the base of his skull. He lay his head back down and stared at the ceiling. With only a little effort, he disconnected himself from the pain. "Tell me what you remember." She blinked, breathed deliberately, as if she didn't concentrate, she might forget to do it. "You had a month off from your post in Kuwait, and we decided to take a cruise to celebrate our 7th anniversary. Matthew was buying some crystallized ginger when a man grabbed him and went into an alley behind the tents. You went after him. I saw someone hit you from behind with a metal pipe. Then a rag with some kind of chemical was clamped over my face, and I passed out. Today's the first time I've seen you." She closed her eyes. "They tortured me, Carl." Anger rose, but again, he suppressed it. Not now. There would be time for anger later, if they survived. His head seemed to be clearing. More than likely, they'd kept him drugged for days, and whatever they'd put into his system half an hour ago was waking him up. That would explain his temporary memory loss.